so now there was an automobile accident.
Well, I had 3 part-time jobs. One was in a Chinese kitchen, and one was working for a dentist, and one was at Pard's, which is a hamburger place, quite a well-known.
And this was in which city? Palo Alto? Okay.
And so on the corner that I had to walk through to get home, there was a car place, and there was a Plymouth, a great big Plymouth. And I told David about it, and we went and looked at it, and he decided to buy it. So he traded off his cute little antique car and bought the Plymouth. Took out the back seat and made a deck. So under the deck went the luggage and crap, and on top of it was all the kids. So it was a good, like this much.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we didn't have children at the time, but he was looking forward, I suppose. Or maybe he rebuilt that Plymouth later. That's a possibility. So he had a job working for a gas company. And so we moved to Farmington, New Mexico, where his job was. I was miserable. I never opened my mouth about it because there was no choice anyway. He was making good money. I could not find a house to rent or buy.
Oh, was it kind of a boom town at the time?
Oh, Farmington was an ugly place with a lot of oil riggers.
Yeah.
I remember one time standing on the street corner watching one of these rough men grab a purse from the lady that was crossing the street to the bank, opened the purse, turned it upside down, dumped all of her stuff on the ground. Farmington, New Mexico.
Just to be a bully, huh?
Oh, God, they were terrible.
Yeah.
Farmington, New Mexico was written up actually in Reader's Digest about how expensive it was and stuff like that. And they didn't, she didn't. I went to the show a lot because he'd be gone 4 or 5 days. There's no telephone cell or anything like that. He'd just be gone. So I would entertain myself. I could walk to downtown, and I wasn't so comfortable driving. And this Plymouth, you have to understand, was like this huge boat of a car. My God, it was big. And I would sometimes go to the lake that was near the town. All the women had dogs, serious dogs. I talked to him about having a dog, and he just, was kind of another commitment and stuff, and he didn't think so. And somebody told me about this. Somebody got one of the German Shepherd puppies, and I think it was my first stroke of independence. I went with my neighbor out to where these dogs were on.
You were very young at this age, right?
Oh.
You hadn't had any children at all, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. So you're still a teenager.
I am.
Okay.
So I went out there where these puppies were, by God, and one of them toddled over to me, and I thought, I don't care if you don't have a dog, you're not home. So I bought the dog. I think she was 110 $110 or something like that.
Holy cow, $110 back in
Oh, it's a lot of money.
1956, 57?
Got married
58?
in 58, yeah.
Oh, 58, so it's like 1959, and here you are buying a dog, and that's a lot of money.
Yep.
$110 for a dog.
Took it out of the savings for the rent, and I named her KK,
Oh,
which was short for a little town that wasn't very far, Kayenta.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
familiar with Kayenta.
Her real name, I think, was Kayenta. And she was a great dog. Almost one of the first things that happened was that I was sewing. I did a lot of sewing in those years, and I was sewing, and I was cutting out a pattern on the bed, and I looked up, and there was a face in the window. And she saw the face, and she went crazy. Well, I did something that I shouldn't have done. I opened the door and let her out. When she came back hours later, she had blood on her hair, not her blood. So she caught him eventually. In the meantime, I called the police.
Oh,
And the police said, "Oh, you should have kept the dog in the house with you." I said, "I guess."
oh no, so your dog attacked somebody?
Yep. She took off after this man and was gone for hours. And I, at that point, thought, I'll never see her again.
Uh-oh, so you sicked the dogs on somebody looking inside the window. But then again, maybe you did that for self-protection, right?
Yeah. And so I always thought, in the beginning, I was sure that, because I had never known anything about Indians. And there were all these Navajos wandering around in Farmington, New Mexico. There was a bank. There was a jewelry store. There was a movie. There was I've forgotten the name. What is the name of the old-fashioned root beer store?
A&W root beer?
You're right. A&W
Yeah,
root
I
beer.
loved A&W root beer.
And they had these cute little mugs for kids.
Mm-hmm. Ice mug.
And we would walk down to Fremont Street and we would get a root beer. That was, of course, fast forward, the kids are born.
Okay, so how did the progression of children go? You first had, who was your oldest child?
Kathleen.
Kathleen. She was born in what year? 1960? 59?
Maybe the end of 58. I probably got the dates wrong.
Uh-oh, that could be embarrassing.
I wasn't very old, maybe 59. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
So there was a little tiny hospital staffed with Indian ladies. And Lord help me if I'd had an emergency, because they just were not prepared for that. So I had this doctor, and he literally was crazy. Wound up in an institution. So at that point, Kathleen had what we called in those years infected diarrhea. She was really sick. So I heard that there was a new doctor that had office hours on Sundays. He was a Seventh-day Adventist. His name was Dr. Williams, and he had rented a house on the way to downtown that had a little backyard that, I don't know if he did it, somebody turned into a parking lot. And he was a natural, I don't know what to call him. He was a natural doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to use much anesthetic and made you exercise. And if you didn't want to exercise, he didn't want you as a patient. And so I would walk to my doctor's appointments. And later, after Kathleen was born, which is one of the... no, I'm sorry, I'm messing the story up. The doctor that delivered Kathleen would not come when she had this diarrhea that was so horrible. Bright green diarrhea. I'd never seen anything like that. So his wife answered the phone on the last phone call and said, he is not going to come. So I'd heard about this doctor, and so I got his phone number, and I went, and the nurse took one look at Kathleen, took her out of my arms and said, you sit down. The doctor will take care of her. And I sat down, and she took the doctor off to a room, and from that moment on, he was the family doctor. His name was Dr. Wetzel Williams.
Hmm.
So, and
Did he help birth the other children?
He did. He birthed all the others.
So the other 3 children were birthed by Dr. Wetzel Williams.
Yes.
And I've heard that you told them to make sure and that everybody has an innie for a belly button, not an outie.
I don't know about that.
Oh well, that's just what I heard. Because all those sisters have innie belly buttons.
I know that we had to walk while we were in labor, and he put up a railing in his office and a railing in the hospital. And he said, you will walk. And we walked. I walked. I would
Okay.
walk all the way from my house around the reservoir downtown.
Now, you were walking before pregnancy, after pregnancy?
During pregnancy, during labor.
And after pregnancy?
And he did natural childbirth.
Oh, natural childbirth.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. You wouldn't...
No cesarean sections?
Oh, no. If you, at the end of, right before the labor, if you needed a little anesthetic, okay. But I had all the kids, I believe, without anesthetic.
Yeah.
Shannon was the worst. Hours and hours and hours.
Oh. She is number 2 daughter.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because remember, this crazy man delivered the first one.
Kathleen had a crazy...
They actually put him in an institution
Oh,
later.
he wasn't just, in your opinion, he actually was...
Oh, he was crazy. Yeah, he was
certifiable. He was certified.
put him in a hospital.
Oh,
Yes.
boy. Well,
So we had Shannon, we had Colleen, and we had Bridget. When Colleen was born, my mother was there because my mother had a 2-week vacation every year from the place she was working at. And I'd gone into labor with Colleen early. I think I'd lost the baby before that, and then I went into labor early with Colleen. And the doctor, in this day and age, this would never happen. The doctor would come past the house. By this time, we bought a little house. And he would come past the house every morning and check up on me. And he had me in the bed, and no, exercise, you get in that bed and you stay there, because the baby would have been too early. Then as time went on and I started to dilate and get closer to the baby's birth, he said, okay, you get up, let's have this baby. Well, when he said that, I couldn't have the baby. Nothing happened. And so, funniest memory that I have was that I got into bed. A neighbor would hang, why I didn't buy a dryer, I don't know. The neighbor would hang all the clothes, and then when David come home eventually, 3-4 days of him being gone, he would fold them and put them away. So the neighbor would set the laundry basket on the foot of the bed. David was home, thank God, and I turned the lights off and something crawled on me.
What was it?
It was a scorpion.
Ooh.
I turned the light on and there was a scorpion sitting on my leg. Well, you're not supposed to hit at them, but I did. I hit the thing and it flew across the room into the closet. And I was hysterical. David picked me up and walked me down the hallway to the shower and turned the water on me. Then he went in the closet and picked things up and never did find the scorpion. And because he couldn't find it, I had him move Kathleen and Shannon's crib away from the wall and put the legs in big coffee cans of water. We never did see it, never did find it. So, life went on and Bridget was born, and then they started talking about the availability of jobs at the test site.
Over here in Nevada.
In Nevada. So we left Farmington.
Was that a good move or a bad move?
I think it was a great move. I don't know how the kids think of it, but the schools were better back then than now.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
So then moved
And I put, Kathleen was having a terrible time. Kathleen is dyslexic.
Oh.
And I put them all in Catholic school. And it wasn't very far from our house there.
Was it a pretty good school system, Catholic school?
There was a nun who was going to school on the weekends to Arizona. And she was learning about dyslexic kids. And so for Kathleen, it was great. I don't think it was so good for the other kids.
Maybe public school was a little better for them.
I think so. And at Catholic school, you had to do yard duty or school.
We're going to wrap this bit up in the next few minutes.
Okay.
In the next few seconds till we can start the next stretch.
And I need to sit down and have a break.
Okay. So we'll stop now.